Hello and welcome. In a previous video, I was discussing London Transport vehicle codes and said that if anybody wanted me to do a video on them, please comment down below. Well, I was quite surprised how many people said yes please. But before I thought I'd do the vehicle codes, I thought I'd start with something that could be fitted into a single video, and that is the London Transport garage codes. These codes are an integral part of London bus lingo. But Jake, you say, what is London bus lingo? Well, a little bit like train drivers and a little bit like airline pilots, and you can see that I'm trying to favourably compare bus driving to both of those jobs, probably unsuccessfully. London bus drivers do have their own language. And whilst train drivers are normally talking about flashing yellows and airline pilots are talking about vectors and outer markers, when I was driving buses in London, it was all about PM, RMs, Ts and Q. For example, if I was to say to you, at PM I drove mostly Ts, but occasionally down at NX I would drive RMs, although I did occasionally drive DRLs through to AK. You would probably think I was BK, barking. But basically what I've just said is I used to drive Titans at Peckham Garage, occasionally Routemasters at New Cross, and even more occasionally used to drive Dennis Darts down to Streatham Garage. The system of garage codes had been introduced before the formation of London Transport in 1933. London General Omnibus Company had introduced codes so the allocation staff could see which bus belonged to which garage. Initially, the system was a very simple one, A, B, C, D, so on and so on, for different garages. However, when they'd used up the 24 letters of the alphabet, they started with AA, AB, AC. So when you now look at this, you can see that Sutton, which is coded A, and Camberwell, which is coded Q, along with Streatham, which was coded AK, are all original London General Omnibus Company garages, and are still using the original London General Omnibus Company garage codes, even if they no longer use the original London General Omnibus Company garage buildings. After the formation of the London Transport Passenger Board, the garage codes tended to be more geographical and related to the name or names of the area that the garage was located in. I used to work for London Central, and we had NX for New Cross, PM for Peckham and BX for Bexley Heath. But all over the London bus network there are garages that relate to the geographical nature of where it is. Some garage codes also relate to a previous owner and also the location of the garage. Croydon, Catford and Bromley Garage have this code, and it relates to a much earlier time when these garages were owned and run by Tilling Group. Croydon is coded TC for Tilling Croydon, Bromley Garage is coded TB for Tilling Bromley, and Catford is coded TL for Tilling Lewisham, even though the garage is in Catford, which shows that the former owner was Tilling and where the location of the garage was based. Although now Croydon is just plain old C rather than TC. This system has become more popular, especially since the mid-1980s when the London Transport routes were put out to tender and different operators were operating them. This could sometimes result in two garages in one area, so different codes were needed to tell the difference from the allocation of one to the other. Although in the early days of tendering that might not have been too much of a problem because all the buses tended to be different colours. Hounslow Heath Garage is currently HH, which is kind of understandable, but it used to be WK. This referring to a previous tenant of the garage, Westlink. Another good example of this is in Barking. Now, as I mentioned before, the original London Transport code for Barking is BK. And indeed the original London Transport garage is still operational. Now we go back in time for a little bit of a history lesson here. Grey-Green coaches had been part of the Cowie Group since 1981. But despite that, the Dagenham base was still being operated as Dix coaches, and that is DIX for all you lot with dirty minds. You should be ashamed of yourself, you really should. Dix operated the 173 from February 1987, and this was the first time that the Cowie Group went into bus operation. And this is really the birth of what we've now got as Arriva. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this might be worth a video in its own right. If you agree with me, please comment down below. But anyway, back to the story. Eventually, Grey Green and Cowie moved the former Dix operation to a site in Barking. And this is the second garage that is in use in Barking, and the code is DX. And it's used by Arriva London North East today with this code DX, and that is a nod to the homage of Dix Travel. Those early days of deregulation would see companies use in their name as a code as well. Companies like Eastern National, who used EL, Blue Triangle of Raynham, who used BE, and Armchair, remember them, who used AH. Now, another little dive back into the history of London Transport bus tendering brings us to the name of Len Wright. In 1985, London Regional Transport put out tenders to operate the Route 81, which ran from Hounslow to Slough. Len Wright, trading as London Bus Lines, won this contract and operated a rather less than reliable fleet of DMS-style fleet lines. Len Wright would later go on to form Q-Drive, and London Bus Lines, along with the B Line, which was part of the old Alder Valley Company, would become part of this group. Q-Drive used to have a garage at Battersea, and this is still in use by Transport UK, and the code is QB. And again, that's a homage to the original operating company Q-Drive at Battersea. Sometimes garage codes are used twice over if a garage relocates or if a garage is closed and then reopened again. And a very good example of this is my old garage of Peckham, which was coded PM, as I mentioned earlier on. The original Peckham garage was on Peckham High Road and was an impressive but standard looking London Transport 1930s bus garage. When the old garage was closed for redevelopment, a new one was opened on an industrial part of Peckham in Blackpool Road, but it maintained the original PM code. Another interesting garage code is Waterloo, which has the code of RA. Waterloo opened officially in the 1980s as a Red Arrow garage, although back in the 1950s it was used as a parking area for buses at the Festival of Britain. So the RA stands for Red Arrow. Now, how do you fancy a little quiz? Now, there are no prizes, unfortunately, because the Jake SCOC and the Southern Counties budget doesn't stretch to that much, so it's purely for fun. In a minute, I will be talking about London Country buses, and I will put a token picture up of a couple of London Country buses just so that you know what they look like, if you didn't know already. However, after that, I will put a few pictures up of London Transport bus garages. Let's see how good you are if you can name all the garages that appear in the pictures. Some might be easy, some might be cunningly difficult. Comment down below with the answers, and if you're right, you will have the satisfaction of being the top cat amongst the garage cats, and that's pretty cool. Now, while I'm talking about London Transport garage codes, I'm going to mention the country area, which eventually became London Country under the National Bus Company. Originally part of the London Transport System, on the 1st of January 1970 it passed to the National Bus Company control. And despite having a different owner and a different name, and indeed a different livery eventually, it retained many of the old London Transport ways. And one of these was the garage codes. Most of the London Country garage codes dated from the days of London Transport, so they were of the descriptive place names, such as Dunton Green, which is DG, Guildford, which is GF, and Crawley, which was CY. There are a few odd ones in the mix, but on the whole they were pretty easy to understand. And these were unique amongst the National Bus Company, and certainly looked it as well, especially when they were in full National Bus Company leaf green, with what would be apparently a London Transport garage code on the side of the bus. So how did you do then? Did you get any of them? Did you get all of them? Answers down below. So now it's over to you, friends. There's going to be some garages out there that have pretty obscure codes that I have missed or left off this inadvertently. So what's your memories and what codes do you remember? I would like to thank you so much for watching this video. By watching it, you have helped improve the life quality of several old preserved buses, as all the money raised from YouTube goes towards the upkeep of the buses at the Southern Counties Omnibus Collection, and that makes you such an amazing human being. If you did enjoy this video, please like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my future releases here on YouTube. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell again so you don't miss those releases. I will catch you next time. Bye for now.